What's up, guys? Today we're looking at It's Just Natural Selection by Rehab Room. I have not seen this video. I don't know what it's about. Enough yapping. Let's go.
Clint, you're the perfect
I reacted to
You're
this
the
before.
exact representation of these.
Clint.
You're them.
Guys, as
Sad
one
guy.
of the arguments people have for hypergamy and the modern dating landscape is this naturalism explanation. They say, oh bro, don't complain. It was like this during the Stone Age as well. Only few men were able to reproduce. Even though the statement itself is true, it doesn't work as an argument today because, guys, the world we live in today is anything but natural. Anything and everything about today
Very
is
true.
unnatural. I mean, sadly, a lot of views also favor this. If you bring up the issues or dare criticize
The existence, see, he's already wrong in a sense though, because it's not that the house prices are getting unnatural. The fact we have to use currency as in general is unnatural. The fact we have dating apps is unnatural. The fact money exists is unnatural. The fact there's such a thing as a pay gap is unnatural. He's trying to look at it like, oh, it's not natural for women to make more. No, it's not natural for anyone to make money at all.
anything, people are going to be like, oh, bro, it is natural. It was like this in nature thousands of years ago as well. Oh, brother, let's just take our looks match while we spend our youth watching autistic 1mm of private exposure videos on YouTube. It is the nature, bro. It is the nature. People are brainwashed into believing that.
By the way, if you've ever talked to an actual like high SMV guy, they don't want your looks match. Speaking to Rehab Room, for example. No, Chad wants your looks match. Normal, tall, and good-looking guys in real life who don't know about hypergamy, they have actually very high standards. Yeah.
Most men are supposed to work all their lives, waste their lives away for bosses and single mothers without expecting anything in return. And that is nature. This one, for example. She says, men aren't dying young at high enough rates. Not all men get laid. Historically, traditionally, anything. Genetics show bottlenecks in male reproduction because men basically had harems. And little men were always pawns and cannon fodder. They didn't get a chance to fester in their bitterness. They died. The natural balance is off. Too many low-quality men are unable to live, produce nothing, and
Too many low-quality people, you could argue, like, I mean, I'm not saying it should be any other way, but we keep people with Down syndrome alive. We keep people alive on ICUs. Yeah, no matter your genetics, you can kind of stay alive. We keep fat people alive. They're able to live. In nature, if you were fat, you would be pretty much done. Yeah, you wouldn't be mobile. You'd be pretty much done. You would die. So she's kind of right. It's just not only about men, it's about everyone.
blame everyone else for their inferiority. Now, if you ask this woman, what about so many low-quality women who also get to live without producing anything, without having children, just being a burden on the economy? She would get offended at the question 100%, 1000%. They will gladly ignore.
Well, you don't feel like cooking because no one wants to cook and you don't have to cook. It's less healthy to do so. But yeah.
Any other aspects about today that are unnatural. Anything and everything about today is unnatural. If your benchmark for nature is Stone Age. But do you see people like her questioning every other
It's before the Stone Age, should be our benchmark.
unnatural thing as well? What is going on today, this clown show we live in today, is anything but natural selection. I mean, yes, men were always the ones fighting the wars. There were some bottlenecks. Men were out there trying to hunt and fight each other. But back then, if you made it out of war, if you were able to hunt successfully, you would get rewarded for it. You wouldn't be single because women didn't think your face was pretty enough. Women couldn't get to choose the limp-wristed pretty boys. In nature, you had no.
Well, is this even true if we do have the statistic that showed like most men really didn't reproduce in history? I don't get it. We kind of already covered this.
Choice but fight for survival. Seek refuge in those men. Men she would call chopped today, if it was today. You had to seek protection and offer reproduction in return for protection.
But did she if most men didn't reproduce in history? Clearly not. It seems that people lived in tribes or civilizations even many tens of thousands of years ago, and not everyone in the tribe would reproduce. The alpha male, the top best looking biggest guy, he would have reproduced with multiple women. That seems to be the case. And yeah, even in wars, I mean, there's plenty of guys that wouldn't get to reproduce even if they lived. I don't unless I'm missing something, let me know.
Sadly, a lot of people in Lookism circles agree with her. I know this for a fact. This is why I decided to make this video. Because I know there will be people saying, oh bro, she's right, Rehab, she's right. This is how it should be. No bro. Pretending like the current situation we live in is meritocracy is a joke. What is going on today? This clown show is anything but natural selection. It ain't the useless men that are going through the ringer.
I mean, he's obese. He's obese. He looks pretty bad. Yeah, why would any woman want to ever be with him? He looks pretty weird. He is extremely fat. He's wearing glasses. That means he already had a bad development if you have glasses on. Bad photos. Yeah, why would he ever succeed on a dating app? Are we supposed to say women should ignore their biology and swipe on him even though they find him ugly? Then waste his time? What's the argument? We can't force women to like you if you're ugly. You have to fix that. Whether it takes surgery, whatever it takes. Why would we ever expect a woman to like this guy? This is normal. This is natural, yeah.
It is men who don't look a certain way, whether they are useless or not. What we experience today is not natural selection, guys. I want to emphasize this. It is a very aggressive form of sexual selection. Almost Fisheurian runaway-like. You're going to remember Fisheurian runaway theory. As long as you look a certain way, even if you are a useless pothead, good-for-nothing bum, women are going to date you. I mean, we see this happening already, guys, already. Doesn't matter if you are a criminal, drag off to society, unemployed bum. As long
Because those are all man-made things. A criminal, that's just man-made. That's arbitrary. You broke arbitrary rules. A job. Yeah. This is complete Godist philosophy, but it's true. All that stuff is just completely man-made. Yeah, it has no meaning naturally. No one cares if a girl is... Here's the thing. As a guy, you don't care if a girl has a job if she's hot. You don't care if she has a crime. You don't care if she got her driver's license suspended. You don't care if she's diagnosed with BDD or some man-made mental disorder. None of that stuff matters. It's all invisible. It can never affect selection. Of course, this is obvious. None of that stuff matters.
as you have the desired looks, you will be the one getting to that. It ain't a meritocracy, man. Natural selection meritocracy. It won't be those capable, working, man paying taxes, productive man. It won't be that.
None of that's productive. That's just, you're just producing nothing in a system. Oh, do they think does he think a Chad that's homeless is less productive than a slave working in a factory he's making cars. He's making guns for war. That's not productive either. It's equally unproductive.
Capable plumber.
What's your name?
King.
King?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's what I know.
Queen.
You're a queen?
Yeah.
You from
He
Paris?
probably does that every time.
No, but I live here.
Oh, nice. Okay. Where you from?
Tunisia.
Your name is Kansas?
Yes. What's your name?
Okay. My name is King.
Where are you going tonight?
I don't know. We might go to 11 or something.
11? You got a section there?
No.
Now, I realize that the argument can be made for both cases. I am not saying one is definitely better than the other, but we need to be honest about what this is. What you consider best to be really becomes important here. This is somehow, subjective matter. Are survival skills more important or looking better more important? Because one could say, what is the point of surviving if I don't look good? One could make that argument. It is a matter of perspective, but we gotta be clear, man. This ain't some natural selection like people think it is. Because, guys, in a social landscape with no rail guards, with no social stigmas, or even economic constraints, what women prefer doesn't always mean best for survival. Doesn't always produce the best optimal outcome.
It is supposed to be one step beyond the red pill to see that life and dating largely for men, there's an uncomfortable reality that if you aren't blessed with the right physical attractiveness, status, or money, you don't have the right prerequisites, you're basically doomed. You're a genetic dead end.
If we're looking at a species, let's look at deer. What is natural is that one buck inseminates 50 doe and he competes with all the other deer. And the reason for that is because then it actually allows the quote best genes to proliferate. Now, best is determined by what actually continues on.
That is his way to define the best, but one could argue that what gets passed on, what continues on, is not always the one with the most.
Yeah, of course. Obviously. That's not how we determine the best genetics. We actually have objective landmarks we can use to quantify the best genetics. Yeah. Some examples are hair density, jaw mass, height, width of the frame. We have objective markers of what good genetics or good development is, because a lot of it's also development, but a lot of it's genetic too. The shape of the nose is completely genetic typically. Yeah, we can already assess this. And yeah, if these guys pass on their genes, it wasn't the best.
Survival chances. So do you define the best by traits of better survival capabilities in the long term, or simply, whatever continues on in the short term? Anyhow, because natural selection and sexual selection are not the same thing. I mean, it is funny he gives the example of deer. The Irish elk. a deer species went extinct because female deers kept preferring bigger and bigger antlers. Deers with bigger antlers kept reproducing. So bigger. It got to a point where it became a survival disadvantage. And in the end,
This is actually going to happen with height, I predict, because there are a lot of heart issues that come with like being quite tall, lower lifespans generally. This will probably happen with height, and humans will start living like not as long because we're going to select for taller. But then if the deer we're selecting for the elk with the biggest antlers, right? Naturally, that is naturally the progression of genetic selection. That is natural. If it happened in nature, then it is natural.
died out. What you consider the best, how you define the best, led them to their extinction, led them to hammerhand videos. Bigger, and before you even know, you can't even get up. You can't even raise your head.
Stronger. To a point where the next one's going to be, you know what, the N-word. You know what the N-word is, right?
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
I figured you'd want to clean that up. No, it's the N-word. That's a very nasty word.
I don't even know what Rehab is getting at, though. It's like, okay, let's say there's no real, in the modern day, there's no actual reason why women should favor attractive or tall men. That could be completely true, right? Sure, it's still wired into us. It's still what we both, men are going to prefer attractive women are going to prefer attractive men. And what makes them attractive is their facial features, is their height, their body proportions, etc. And that's all that really matters. It's all that's really going to determine your success. It's going to be the main factor by far.
Right? In a lot of ways. The N-word used in a nuclear sense, that's the worst thing that can happen.
Obviously, this won't always be the case. Natural selection and sexual selection are not mutually exclusive. Oftentimes, they go hand in hand, especially in non-human species. But our current dating landscape, what we experience right now, is not necessarily the smartest or the most useful, hardworking man finding the most success.
Yeah, no shit, man. Hardworking, bro? Yeah, why would that have anything to do with why someone would want to reproduce with you? Why would a woman want to reproduce with someone with bad genetics and bad development if they're hardworking? Makes no sense. That has nothing to do with selecting the genetics that you're going to reproduce with. Makes no sense.
Is simply the most physically attractive. Is this the best gene? Again, an argument can be made for both points. Which one would you say has better genes? A 6'3", 6'4", brain-dead pretty boy who works a dead-end job, or a manlet scientist with 100...
The first one. Yeah, because science doesn't even exist naturally. It's really only had detriments to our species anyway. Yeah, the guy with good development and good physical facial features has better genetics for reproducing with. It's in nature that would yield a better outcome than reproducing with some small framed guy with a poor ramus so you can't even break apart food with bad eyelashes that don't filter out sand, etc. These facial features we have, we're selecting for because they have purposes in nature, such as your bite force, again, filtering out sand from getting in your eyes, your nasal apertures with filtering out, air in different climates. These all have purposes. And that's still what we're biologically selecting for, is survival in nature, not in society. Obviously. So yeah, of course.
30 IQ, a criminal, good for nothing criminal who just looks good, or a successful hunter with above average intelligence but isn't as good looking. Which one has better genes? If you go by the definition of this guy in the video, it is going to be the former. Again, I am not necessarily against sexual selection itself, but to explain what is going on today in this modern dating landscape with natural selection is incorrect. It's just incorrect. I am just making a statement of fact here. What we see today is not natural selection. It is a never seen before case of sexual selection.
But women always have preferred the same good-looking men, and as you pointed out that statistic, yeah, most men didn't reproduce in nature.
If young men in this country are more lonely, we have to look at what they've been told over the last decade. The activities they do, their parents are taking them out of contact sports. Money, right? Like you go play golf, things like that cost money. The money hasn't been there for the last 4 or 5 years. Yep. And then on top of that, this idea that toxic masculinity is a thing, so they're not engaged in some of the fun things like hunting, fishing, lifting their trucks, the things that kids around my area would like to do. Yeah. And the last thing is this entire generation doesn't want to drive for some reason.
Fishing, hunting, and lifting. Brother, men going through the ringer are not men who don't do those things. Gyms are filled with those lonely dudes, with the members of the 63% army.
Yeah. If you're 168 centimeters, it's nothing you can do besides leg lengthening that will actually do anything.
Same with fishing and hunting. Bro, of course, that is a good thing to do. You should have hobbies. That is something I advocate for as well. But to suggest those hobbies as some sort of a way to attract ladies is epitome of boomer advice. Oh, brother, just go fishing. Ladies want a man who's competent. This ain't the Stone Age, where men with best survival and hunting skills survived. In this day and age, you do hunting with your face, with your height. Hundreds of thousands of years ago.
I agree. Something about the tone of this video, maybe I'm missing something. It just seems like, what is he trying to get at? Yeah, everything else is kind of equal now. Like, everyone has access to the bare necessities. Women are out earning men in our man-made economy. And now the main factor is looks and height. But it always has been. Yeah, maybe a woman would have to sleep with some ogre back in the day to survive because he had a fire and he had food. She still didn't actually, she wasn't in like love with him. She didn't find him attractive. Is that what you want? A woman to just settle for you for resources? She'll never actually desire you, which is really the fulfilling feeling of it all. I just don't get what he's really getting at.
Ever bottlenecks. Few men had more women. Except that man was not some limp-wristed pothead with a pretty face. It was ogre gym cells of the past. Anything, pretty much anything you have today is because of life not being like in those times. You couldn't choose to date a dude you were attracted to. You would be 10th woman of a dude, some ogre dude, and not...
Yeah, and that's not great though, is it? She was just using him to live. Yeah. She didn't actually desire him. She wouldn't want to actually have sex with him. Is that what people want? Who wants that? That still happens today, by the way. There's plenty of women who do choose men for financial stability, so they don't have to work. Then they have kids with a guy that, he's okay enough. There's no genuine desire, no love. I mean, who wants that?
In today's way. Not like today, a woman choosing to be a side chick of a hot dude. This is not a personal opinion. Historians agree on this. I mean, guys, we make fun of Yad, but that line he uttered is actually true. The way he says in the middle of the street is funny, obviously, but what he said there is actually correct, according to many historians.
I'll tell you one thing, girls have this crazy periphery vision that we don't. It's because throughout evolution, what happened was girls obviously got attacked in the forest, they had to always be careful, right? So their periphery vision is actually a lot sharper than ours and a lot more on guard than ours.
And I get mad at some of you guys too. Like, I know so many of you agreeing with her. I see this in the comments all the time. Oh, bro, yep. Girls dancing on TikTok making millions while you're trying to make the ends meet is natural selection. It is meritocracy. Don't complain. Bro, it is simply an aggressive form of sexual selection with no real guts. It is the clown show, bro. If everything else was the same as the Stone Age, then you might have a point. And I kind of challenge that view too, that naturalistic fallacy. Just because something was happening in the nature hundreds of thousands of years ago doesn't mean it should be that way now. Doesn't mean it is the best, most efficient way. I don't have a blind romanticism for naturalism as well. Just because something was found in nature during the Stone Age doesn't mean it is the best and most efficient way now. Or yeah, if you were right, these genes would have died out generations ago. No, bro, because you don't understand the difference between sexual selection and natural selection. People are really confused about this. What is happening now is not just some natural selection like it was in the Stone Age. Or Chads back then took all the women. Except Chads of that time, of past, were not some limp-wristed, starve-maxing pretty boys. It was ogre gym cells of the past. Savages.
Gym cells? What the fuck is this guy talking about? What? The Chads of the past would do some physical activity, but humans mostly hunted with their brains, so we mostly walked around. When we would chase animals, we'd actually, like in deserts, we would actually stalk them by walking. Just walking, because we could outwalk any other species. We would never run, we would never lift weights or anything. You know, you might have to build one house, you may have to do some lifting. And of course, they all ate raw meat, so they would be naturally muscular, but nothing like the bodies we see today. And what's his foundation of saying they were ogre? There's plenty of natural tribes we can see today that have very like pretty boy looking men. Their physiques are actually quite slim, like the Maasai. They're actually pretty slim and tall. And they live, at least the ones even that live pretty naturally are still slim and tall. No idea what he's talking about right now.
Were the chats. Women couldn't be like, oh, he doesn't have that perfect pretty boy face. I am not choosing him. People are really confused about this. But
Yeah, back then there were less options and women would have to settle more. This is just extremely watered to me. Am I missing something? Yeah, of course. I just don't get, what are you getting at? I feel like this is common sense and it's obvious. And yeah, looks and height is more important now. Back then, before there was social media and phones, you know, if you found a woman in the forest and she needed to eat and she needed warmth, and you were the ugliest, shortest man alive, and you say, hey, I have some food and a fire, yeah, she'll go sit with you. And if you're like, if you are basically saying, fuck me or you can't stay here, guess what she's going to do? Yeah, that's almost like, if you really think about the logistics, that's like basically kidnapping and woman. If you think about it, that's what was happening back then. What are you trying to get at, bro?
Really seeing here and now play out in front of our eyes is natural selection. Adapt or die.
Dr. K talked about this in his recent video as well. And guys, I promise you I was making this video already before he uploaded his. I was actually already halfway through with this video. But now I'm gonna add this part as well. No point making it two different videos. But guys, Dr. K is one of those guys. Like, no bro. The current situation is not natural selection, but an unchecked fishery and runaway selection with no rail guard.
The current scenario is actually giving women an opportunity, and men alike, to actually filter out the genetics and the poor development. It really, this is what things have all been leading to for a long time. Every human is sufficient on their own without anyone else. Typically, they can work. Women are out earning young men. Young women are out earning young men, I believe, or at least it's very similar. Now people have the choice to date people they're actually attracted to. Yeah, this is obvious. This entire video has been obvious. I'm gonna still upload this. I low-key could be missing something that maybe I'm just dumb. I just think it's completely obvious. Yeah, now women have the option to not date guys they find ugly. They can just stay single. Yeah.
With no restrictions.
When a natural selection event happens, the people who are already adapted survive, procreate, reproduce, and pass on their genes. Whereas the group of animals, plants, whatever, humans, who are not well adapted to the current circumstances, literally die out. That's what natural selection is. Survival of the fittest. Now, fittest doesn't mean the sexiest or the most ripped.
Except in this case, it does mean that.
Yeah, it does.
Like, yes, he's correct with the definition of natural selection. It is supposed to be the survival of the fittest.
Yeah, you have to adapt by getting surgery, getting healthier, looksmaxxing. That's how you adapt. The ones that don't adapt, they'll die off. They won't spread their genetics. I mean, I think it's like a third of men are sexless right now over the past year. Yeah. Adapt or you won't spread your genes. It's the perfect definition.
It is based on traits most suitable for survival, for being able to procreate. But what we are experiencing right now is not natural selection. It is an aggressive form of sexual.
But those traits depict your genetic quality, developmental quality. Having a child with a wider frame, a taller skeleton, a bigger skull, a wider palate, a longer ramus. Does Rehab just think we find certain traits attractive for no reason? We find a long ramus attractive on men because it signals a higher bite force, higher bone mass. Same with height, the width of the frame. Does he just think that's not relevant to nature? How you would, I don't get it. He just thinks, oh, we just find a long ramus taller. We find a taller ramus attractive for no reason. It's just no reason. We just happen to find it more attractive. Everything we find attractive physically has a very specific and real reason for our survival in nature. This makes no sense. Let me make sure that's what he's saying, though.
On traits most suitable for survival, or being able to procreate. But what we are experiencing right now is not natural selection. It is an aggressive form of sexual selection. It is about survival of the prettiest, even if he has traits that are detrimental for survival.
But no one does. I mean, attractive people, it is a correlation. They have higher IQ on average anyway, if you want to make that argument. So if you do find an attractive partner, it's more likely they're intelligent. They typically are rated to have better personalities, even with the halo effect controlled for. It seems that attractive people just have better traits. Like, aside from the halo effect, it's just the truth. They have traits we do typically prefer as people. They have better traits for survival in nature. he must think, yeah.
Yes, it is considered pretty. Like in the case of Irish elk, that went extinct.
You're making this example. This is not analogous to humans. Now, if this were to happen where women were choosing 9-foot men and then having birth complications, you'd have a point. That isn't happening though.
Now, natural selection and sexual selection don't have to be mutually exclusive. A trait can be included in both, but what we are experiencing right now is not natural selection. It is unchecked and unrealistic version of hypergamy. Because guys, there are only
Then give an example of one trait being selected for that's detrimental for survival. One. Because everything that's being selected for is men with higher testosterone, which have higher rates of fertility, men with stronger bite force, men with stronger physical strength. Everything that's being selected for right now is better for our gene pool. So he'd have to give an example of something women are selecting for that's hurting our gene pool, which I haven't seen one example of.
so many of those guys, those dudes that women are truly attracted to. And you are not one of them either. If you were a Zoomer, if Dr. K was a Zoomer, if he didn't luck out, he would be going through hell as well. Because it is the useless guys with height who look pretty in the face that get to date now, not the fittest or smartest. Now, procreation is a little bit different. He looks at problems, dating life problems, and equates that to people trying to procreate.
Witnessing right now is super scary because it is actually a mass extinction event. Sounds crazy, but this is literally what's going on. There are groups of people who will have no option to procreate. We're starting to see declining birth rates in places like South Korea. Fewer people across the globe in general are having kids, but then there is this particular group of people who has no option to reproduce.
Another thing Dr. K doesn't get is this. For most young men, it ain't only about reproducing at any costs. Zoomers have just different expectations out of life than being a beta box deluxe at such a young age. If their goals, these people's goals, was only to reproduce, that ain't that impossible, bro. But people want to experience romance, validation, date, get to live a certain lifestyle, have a girlfriend they are attracted to. They want to live, basically. Just finding someone to have a child with isn't the most impossible thing. We just prioritize different things. We realize that just bringing some woman to the West and marrying her just to have a broke family ain't life. People actually want more out of life. I am one of those guys myself. If I wanted to pass my genes on anyway, anyhow, at any costs, if I saw that as the ultimate goal, there are ways to do that. I could bring some hostage, from Africa, from Middle East, and do it. Because there will be some desperate women, bro.
Yeah, that sounds like what would happen in nature, but now you're saying you don't want that. Because, in nature, Rehab Room probably would have reproduced. He probably, if he had some resources, then some woman came along who needed help, and maybe he would reproduce with her. Yeah, that could have happened. Now he's saying he doesn't want that, which is exactly how the women feel, because they don't want to reproduce with people like him either. Now everyone gets to choose what they actually want. I don't know. I feel like this video has been extremely obvious. I don't know.
If you have a Western passport, there will be some woman willing to be a hostage. But people want to get to have experiences. They want to be able to offer a comfortable life before they have a child. Dr. K is really out of touch with the young generation, with what they want out of life. He thinks it is not the sexual selection. Bro, what is going on right now? The real reason behind those stats is literally unleashed, unlimited sexual selection on steroids. Women don't even need men anymore. Young women earn more than young men do. The government is there. Big Daddy government is there. He still doesn't understand that his time was different. He's like 45 or something. His time was different.
Yeah, exactly. So, women out earn men. If a woman was ever picking a man for money to begin with, it wasn't real love then. She didn't actually want him for his physical characteristics. Yeah, she would just be using him for money. Yes, everything is transactional. She's still kind of using you for your looks. The difference is when she's actually attracted to your looks, you're going to have the benefits of true love, where she actually sexually desires you. So your sex will be passionate. She will actually be affectionate towards you physically because she literally gets dopamine every time she sees your face. That's the difference. You have to be used for your looks. Otherwise, it's basically fake. Yeah.
A lot of us just don't see the value in putting ourselves through so much BS just to have a marriage. And not even only yourself only, but an innocent child too. Just to have that legacy. Oh, my legacy, bro, fuck your legacy. Young people realize that in the grand scheme of things, passing their genes on in this messed up economy doesn't
Passing your genes on doesn't matter,
matter. Doesn't even feel right. economic aspect is real as well. Because now
This guy talks about the economy too much, bro. That's all made up in your head. Like, yeah, it's affecting us in this society, but like he's just obsessed with this money thing. Like, dude, you can move to some other country, work an online job. It's where the dollar has way more value. It's really not that deep, dude. If you're living in a first like America, then don't even complain about money. One of the worst places to live for money wise in the world.
Even more money. Their expectations are a lot higher. Being a factory worker now ain't gonna cut it. You just can't ignore the economic aspect of this. Yes, looks are the bulk of it, the biggest factor, but there are other catalyst factors that exacerbate it. Women see how other women are living, get rich quick, how people travel and live that lifestyle. Both men and women, they see how other people are living life. Their purpose, their goal isn't just to have some children and continue their so-called legacy. Why would I want to create another human and make him go through the same ringer that I did? I don't hate my family, but if I am 100% honest, I wouldn't want my child to feel about me the way I feel about my parents. Succeeding in this life is hard, man. Especially as a man, it is really hard. It is not the world people like Dr. K grew up in. And even he himself admits this.
But I think we're seeing another level of real natural selection, not just life or death, but in the modern work from home, dating app-based environment, which people are more fitted to succeed. So in a dating app environment where I can swipe through 1,000 pictures of men or women, who do you think is going to float to the top? The top 1%, the top 10%. And that's what the stats on dating apps show, that the people who are very physically attractive are the ones who get all of the attention. Whereas in the world that I grew up in, there were not supermodels on Tinder that I was competing against.
And that is exactly why what is going on today is not natural selection, but a fishery and runaway type sexual selection.
So like back
I
then,
would
it was like pickup
argue
artists.
that the thing is, yes, the apps are in effect very damaging for many, many people, even really including myself. I've had decent success on them, but it's still worse. Yeah, it's hurting most guys because it's giving women an opportunity to match with and like the guys they actually want. Because the difference is, before dating apps, maybe more women were settling with like mid guys, but those women still would have seen the guy they really want in real life. They still would have seen that guy they really are obsessed with in real life, and then they settle. Now with the apps, it just makes it more possible in people's minds that they'll actually find who they want. So yeah, it's just the apps are just speeding up what is natural though, because that is how we've always felt. I don't know. Yeah, it's worse for most people, but it's still natural, like in the choices. I don't know if that makes sense.
And I was kind of into that a little bit, not so much. But I think that back when there were like losers like me who didn't know how to talk to girls, the world was a different place. The world necessitated some amount of physical contact, regular physical contact, even though I had social anxiety, even though I was an introvert, use whatever words you liked. My path to salvation was like I was forced into these social interactions.
And I will say this too. This is more important, guys. He's completely off the mark by considering COVID as the turning point. Even if there was no COVID, we would still see this exact same trend. He's thinking like a boomer. Oh, the lockdowns is why people couldn't go socialize. The online world, bro, it changed.
If you were neurotypical, you know everyone was still socializing during COVID. Like no one really cared about that.
Real life interactions and real life expectations as well. This is the entire reason why online dating Tinder is real life. Because expectations have changed. Women now are bombarded with attention on social media. They know how replaceable, easily replaceable men they meet in real life are. The turning point ain't COVID, it is the social media. Internet revolution, starting from 2010. The turning point is about a decade before COVID. I'm not even gonna respond to the rest of the video. He spends the rest of his video showing the data of youngster consuming less alcohol after COVID, meeting face-to-face less. Bro, that ain't the cause of what is going on right now. COVID, yes, indeed might have lowered some alcohol consumption, but this trend...
I do think COVID, it did push everyone into the apps. And then once you get pushed in, it's unlikely you're going to leave. Like, it was already going to eventually end up where things will be. It just kind of sped it up a little bit.
What's happening pre-COVID as well. It thinks this is about young people not seeing each other face-to-face as much after COVID. So according to him, people who take risks to go out there and meet people in real life are the ones winning the natural selection.
Yeah, if you do go meet people in real life, it's a million times superior if you are an average guy. oh, they're replaceable on dating apps. The thing is, the good-looking guys girls are matching with on dating apps, they're extremely flaky too. You do have a better chance in person. I'll tell you that, especially because it's like I think 50% of women aren't on dating apps. So there's like half of the dating market out there that you cannot even find online, and you have a way better chance in person. Yeah, it is better. But.
Time I checked was 50% of people under the age of 30 are co-residing with their parents. Now imagine how these two groups experience the world differently. When I'm 26 years old and I meet a girl at a party, if she's like, hey, can we go back to your place? And I say, I live with my parents. What do you think will happen?
If you're good looking, she won't care at all. If you're tall and good looking, then she'll say, she wouldn't even register it as a bad thing. She'd be like, oh, could we get up to your room? She'll be thinking logistically, like, how can I fuck this guy? That looks good. She won't care whose title is on the house, obviously. She'll literally go straight. Think about this. You have a hot girl. You have a really hot girl, great body, great face. And she's like, want to come back to my parents' house with me? You're going to say, yeah. But can we get to your room? Oh, do you have the basement open? It's going to be purely logistical. Because you like the girl. You don't care where she lives. That's all that matters.
Versus if I'm in the 50% of people who are like, yeah, I have a place that's 15 minutes away.
Doesn't matter at all.
We go and hang out there, right?
Doesn't matter.
It ain't about finding a private place. The problem is finding that girl who's gonna ask you, hey,
Agreed.
can we go back to your place? That is a lot harder. A lot harder.
Yeah, if a girl asks you that, she doesn't care where your place is at all. She really likes you, and then you're in.
If not outright impossible. An impossible event at 0%.
For you, yeah.
Likelihood for the vast majority of sub-8 males. Dude, finding a place.
That's a joke. Not sub-8. That's insane. I don't know his scale, to be fair.
Logistic ain't even that hard anymore, thanks to technology. You can easily arrange an Airbnb for a day or two and act like it is your place. Like if you knew you have good chances of taking a girl home, you can easily arrange an Airbnb apartment for 1 or 2 days.
I forgot how down bad this guy is. I forget these guys are actually incels. Yeah.
Imagine you are 30 years old and then you live with your grandma or with your mother in the same apartment. This is holy shit. If you want to invite a girl, they come and see your pa or your grandpa. It's not.
They don't care.
Living with your parents during your 20s and 30s will do you no favors. But the same happens to men living alone as well.
I live with my parents. I've invited tons of girls over. No one cares. If they like me, then they like me. They'll come over. Yeah.
It ain't about finding an empty apartment for one night. Empty apartment is all we have, bro. It is finding chicks that are gonna say, oh yeah, can we go back to your place?
That's the more common problem. I completely agree with him on this point. Yeah.
The hard part, Doc. But guys, I'm gonna end the video on this note. Enough rambling. I am very well aware of the certain realities. I am not saying that everybody should be able to pass their genes on. My stance on this is very well known. It is already established. Nobody can accuse me of being against eugenics, but it is the double standards when it comes to naturalism that bothers me. It is people not even understanding naturalism. Don't be a free agent in life.
Yeah, that was an interesting video. I guess I kind of agreed with his entire Dr. K segment. I just found it blatantly obvious. That was kind of my takeaway. All the modern things are essentially giving women the option to choose the men they actually want. They don't have to settle out in the wilderness for whoever they can find. Social media made hypergamy go on steroids because hypergamy is nature, though. It's nature's just given our natural inclinations and desires have just been given a platform to manifest, which is the internet, where everyone, both men and women alike, are hypergamous, by the way. We both only want people we find attractive, and around 10% of people can even be considered moderately attractive, around 5 to 3% attractive, and then 1% or less very attractive. Typically, there's around 90% of people really aren't going to be considered attractive by almost anyone. And so most people are settling, which I don't see that as a good thing. I wouldn't really want to be, let's say I wasn't 6'5", let's say I was 5'10", my face was a bit worse. I don't consider myself very good looking whatsoever, but you get my point. I'm trying to be humble and everything. Point is, if I was a completely average guy in every regard, I wouldn't want a woman to just settle with me out of security. That's not the actual feeling of mutual love. You're just being used for stability. And that's how you get cheated on as well. That's how your marriage ends. That's how she takes half your money. Now the way it is yeah, people have options and ways to meet other people. Now, if a girl actually is into you, she's actually into you. If a girl is making her way to see you, she actually likes you. She actually chose you. The only way to win is to be chosen now. Yeah, and things were always going to lead to this point. The world was inevitably always going to get to an advanced enough point to where people aren't having to be with other people out of necessity. And this is natural selection, in my opinion, because natural selection is sexual selection. I literally see them as the same exact thing. Rehab came up with this example about, oh, the deer is selecting elks with bigger and bigger antlers, which then led to their demise. You don't have an example to show that happening in humans. The current traits women are selecting for, as I mentioned earlier, are beneficial. A longer ramus, right? That is superior for bite force. Okay, darker brows are signaling higher testosterone, higher fertility. A wider and taller person has more strength inherently, just from the size, literally like dynamics, like a pulley. The longer something is, the more force and power it has. Everything about what is being selected for is currently still beneficial. Attractive people, it's associative, have more IQ. Okay, they typically have better emotional intelligence. These things, when you have a well-developed person with good genetics, they're tall, attractive, charming, funny, intelligent. It's the whole package. Typically is what you see. There are exceptions. And that's being selected for, and it's of no negative to our gene pool whatsoever. Now, if there were women going around choosing 9-foot or 10-foot guys, and then the kids came out with heart problems and deformities, I'd agree with Rehab. I'd say, this is insane. Women are choosing people who aren't good for the gene pool because it's extremes of good traits. It's not happening yet, though. Yeah, Dr. K. So that part of the video, it seemed obvious and redundant. Yeah, seemed obvious and redundant. This is a problem we're all aware of. I don't know. Not that the video isn't what I expected. His entire thing, I guess, is that he wants women to have to kind of be forced to partner up with people they don't actually find physically attractive. And again, the entire time, it's almost like he doesn't understand what we find attractive is for a biological reason. Fair enough, though. I mean, I agreed with like a lot of his points. I just found it obvious. Second part of the video with Dr. K. Yeah, the whole thing, the economy and, oh, where you're living, none of that matters. If a girl likes you, she'll go back to your trailer park. If you're a true, tall, attractive guy with a wide frame, it's done. It doesn't matter. You could even be living in a car. She'll probably come hang out in your car. It doesn't matter at all. The whole economy thing, how much money you make, that doesn't really matter. Just look good and be tall. Have a wide frame. You'll be good. Yeah, people request that I react to this video. That's all I have to say. I suppose I gave my thoughts throughout the video pretty well, and then, you know, my conclusion hopefully has summed it up well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.